Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Performance E-Streaming. It is Sunday night, and that means only one thing. It is the My Private Cellar's Australasian Supercar eSeries. Yes, it is the V8s on the ovals. Well, we've got one supercar driver heading over to NASCAR. We have the NASCAR coming in to Supercars territory. It's going to be an interesting race tonight here at Kentucky, where we will be racing for 134 laps tonight. I am, as ever, Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you. Joining me up here in the booth, I have Mr. Matty Hunter. Matt, how you going, mate?
Very good, Carl. Yep, good to be here in Kentucky. Another 1.5, 134 laps. So should be another interesting one to see how we go and see if it's another tyre conservation race like last week.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, unlike the NASCARs, these V8s, the supercars, they run a bit like a super speedway on the 1.5 mile oval, so it makes for a really interesting race. You're going to see some good pack racing. Hopefully that dog will shut up in the background. Sorry about that, folks. But hopefully get some good pack racing, some good action out there tonight. Qualifying is just wrapping up at the moment. While that continues, we'll take a quick gander at the championship. Currently, it is Gary Wellman leading away in the championship to a very little surprise. The man that has been on the podium at every race this season and winning 3 or 4 of them now. Where are they? 4. Yeah, 4. Yeah. So it's been a very impressive run for himself. Raymond Yeager sits behind him. He is trying to chase down that championship, sitting 60 points behind the leader. 85 points down is Cade Donnelly in third, with Troy Davidson in fourth. Mr. Consistency keeping up there. He is 88 points off the championship lead. And Craig Rothey sits in fifth, 98 points down from the leader. Team championship wise, it is the Sim Boys taking over the lead after getting their ducks in a row for a change, having all of their drivers scoring the points last time round. Can they get it right again? Will the spreadsheets work for them? We'll soon find out. They're sitting on 233 points, 217 points just behind is Pinnacle Esports, and Southern Stars Esports sits in third, 197 points off the lead. Then it is Rogue Sim Sports and Inside Lane Productions, Inside Lane Sim Sports, I should say, sitting with 196 in joint fourth position. So championship wise should be interesting. Could be some good opportunities for the drivers and teams tonight here at Kentucky. Just looking quickly at the weather, it is of course nighttime, so it's going to get a little bit cooler here in the beautiful Kentucky evening. Track temperature is 29 degrees Celsius, air temperature 29 degrees Celsius, so 29 across the board, but it's not going to rise from there. Let us head over to the starting grid for tonight's race. And taking pole position, it's a Sim Boys 1-2. Troy Davidson with Cade Donnelly on his outside, taking the front row by storm. Pariana Stackers comes up into the second row with Aaron Dillon on his outside. Justin Whitcher and Todd Maxfield make up our third row. It's Annie Barber with Niall Patton sitting in fourth. On row number 5, we've got Dwayne Priest and Greg Spencer. Raymond Yeager with Kim Rothey make up our sixth row. Row 7 has Nicholas Walsh and Jai Schultz. Christopher Finlay with Michael Latter on row number 8. Row number 9 sees Luke Crum and Christopher Tomlin lining up. Row 10 has Kobe Jordan with Aidan Schultz, Steve Hoppett, Mick Rush, and Peter Grettin. So you may notice a name missing from the grid tonight, and that is the man that has been on the podium in every single race. He's going to be off it tonight because he's off visiting Vietnam, busy having a bit of a holiday, Matt. He's got such a lead in the championship, he can take a week off going gallivanting around the world.
Well, I was expecting him to just log into the server late, about four laps late, and fire up and still win the race.
I would not discount it. I mean, still being in Vietnam, he could still win it. I mean, there is always a chance. Could log on his phone, maybe get a late break and still win it from there. We cannot discount it for Gary Wellman at the moment, but the streak is over. So that is going to mean we're going to get a new winner for. We're going to have a winner this time out and a podium without Gary Wellman, which will be a strange thing indeed, because he's been on an absolute rush recently. But the Sim Boys will be hoping to make up for that and locking themselves out on the podium. And they got a good chance with pretty much all their team up in the top 10 tonight.
I was just thinking it's very kind of Gary to, realise that he's won so many races. He better let somebody else have a go. Just doesn't want to hurt their feelings too much. So let them have a turn.
The generosity is grand for Gary Wellman, absolutely. So it's going to be we're going to have a slightly different podium tonight, which is always nice. But we've seen some really good runs this season from a few drivers. Who is going to be able to take it here at Kentucky? Well, we will find out in a few short laps here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by my Private Cellars, of course. We also are being supported by United Electrical Solutions, Hot Toddy Heating Installations, Whitcher Electrix, and my brain's gone dead for a second.
Did you do RJK?
Oh yeah,
RKJ
Web Services. That's it. Yeah, yeah. It's the way sometimes you go into saying it, and all of a sudden the brain just absolutely switches off for no reason. I was like, I know there's one I'm missing. RKJ Web Solutions, of course, with Raymond Yeager himself. But the pace car is pulling in. We're about to go green for the first time here tonight. 134 laps here at Kentucky. Who is going to be finger looking good? We'll find out in a few short laps time. Green flag's about to drop. I'm going to shut up. Let's enjoy these cars roaring away here for the first time tonight. And as we cross the line and make it into our first lap, everybody has gone away relatively clean. A couple of cars making contact with the wall a bit further down the pack. Jai Schultz and Christopher Tomlin, the two inside lane cars, both running wide through turns 3 and 4 and just giving the wall a tiny little kiss. But they seem to be okay at the moment. Troy Davidson got a commanding lead at the moment, pulling away from the rest of the pack. And we saw last time out that sometimes just pulling away from the rest of the pack can pay off. And will we see a similar actions? Oh, Aaron Dillon getting sideways up into Todd Maxfield. Oh, and everybody just makes it through. A little bit of blue on blue contact for the Sim Boys there.
Yeah, it was looked like a bit of a bump, accidental bump in the back there. So you see it here from Todd, just gets Aaron Dillon a little bit out of shape. Catches it, comes back up, bit of contact to the Maxfield, and then Maxfield does an equally good job catching his car as well.
Super saves by both the drivers there, and look, Sim Boys, they're teammates, they work well with each other, but they still race each other hard, and that is just proof of it right there. Dillon and Maxfield both racing hard with each other. Aaron Dillon's got back on pace, so he's just getting past Justin Whitcher there, former champion, of course, for the Australasian Supercar eSeries. Justin Whitcher, no slouch in these things, but Aaron Dillon having a bit of a charge at the moment, and we've got the Sim Boys 1, 2, 3 as it stands. Dwayne Priest sitting in 5th. Then it is Justin Whitcher in 4th, Raymond Yeager in 6th, Todd Maxfield, Andy Barber, Nigel Patton, and Greg Spencer. Greg Spencer's getting absolutely swamped by cars though as they go 3-4 wide down the back straight. And as I said, Greg Spencer was sitting in 10th. Well, he's just dropped down to 13th position in a matter of a blink of an eye.
One corner and down 3 spots.
Just how quick it happens. You see 3 wide action there. Jai Schultz up on the high line with Christopher Tomlin and Aidan Schultz right at the bottom there in the Golden Octopus car, having a run tonight in that very distinctive livery, of course, and always nice to see out there. helping raise awareness for the charities, of course. And if you're running any charities on your cars, just let us know before the race so we can write it down and make sure we can chat about that one during the race. So all those drivers, just give us a little nudge, and we will make sure we mention that one on the broadcast. But we are racing hard at the moment. The battle is happening up the front as well. As Dwayne Priest is right up on the high side at the moment. Todd Maxfield on the low side. Justin Whitcher battling it out. And Ren Yeager thinking, I'm just going to go down the middle here, as he sails it through and moves himself up a position. Oh, we've got a caution flag. We've got a caution. I think it might be Aidan Schultz.
Let's have a look and see if we can grab that replay.
Ooh, heavy there. So it looks like Christopher Tomlin did not see the car below, did not get a call from his spotter. And Aidan Schultz, that takes the full brunt of that one. Some heavy damage to the 52 there. And the Golden Octopus is, well, it's a little bit more silver now down that right-hand side.
Hopefully not too bad a hit for both drivers there, both cars.
Yeah, Christopher Tomlin took a big whack on the passenger side door, which, you know, shouldn't cause too much damage, but there is the exhaust that sits out there, so it could sometimes crack one of those and cause a little bit of reduction in engine power. Whereas Aidan Schultz, he took a heavy whack on the right front, so I reckon he's got some suspension damage at least. So he's going to need to probably come into pit lane to get a quick inspection of that one, just to make sure everything is working. But, well, speaking of pit lane, it's about to get very busy, as pretty much the whole field is coming down into the lane right now, all but Jai Schultz coming into pit lane.
You'd imagine this would be fuel-only stops here at the moment, I think.
Yes, of course, just the one set of tyres for these cars during the race. Well, two sets of tyres, I should say. They get the set they start on, and then they get one set they can change during the race. Andy Barber just missing his pit box there, unfortunately, but gets it stopped. And they're going to chuck a little bit of fuel in there and get themselves going a little bit longer in this stint. Gives them a little bit more wiggle room just in case a late caution flag comes out, of course. We're expecting about 45 laps on the fuel tonight, so this will extend their stints to about lap 50, 55, we reckon. So this should make them just give them a little bit of extra run in the car.
Yeah, it kind of puts them in a bit more flexibility later on, doesn't it, really? That's sort of what it sort of buys, depending on how the race falls.
Absolutely, and with pretty much everybody coming in, it's a cheap pit stop, and it just gives you a little bit more, well, it gives you a little bit more option, of course, because if you make it to that sort of lap 50 mark, you know, if you can make it to lap 60, you're almost cutting the race in half. So, you know, it could give you some good options later in the race. That will mean that Jai Schultz will be taking the lead once this race starts up. And he will be slightly lighter, of course, in that car, because he's got a little bit less fuel. So that will just give him a little bit less weight to carry around on the track. But it does mean he's got a little bit less flexibility in his stint length. So that could change things up. Cody Jordan popping back into pit lane just to get the tank absolutely brimmed. So he's the only driver that I've spotted that's come in for a secondary stop by the looks of things, just to get a little bit of extra gas in the tank for this run. So he'll be able to go just a tiny bit longer than the rest as well, or push a little bit harder too. So pace car is about to pull in here, and we're going to go back to green flag racing. 123 laps remaining here tonight at Kentucky for round number 7 of season 6 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries here on Performance eStreaming.
About to come around now to the restart zone. And no, that's not it there. This is it here. There we are. The blue guy goes restart zone, and away they go.
Joe Schultz gets away nicely there and getting caught out by the restart zones. It's a good job you're not leading the pack tonight, Matt. That could have been disastrous.
Oh yeah, I did a race recently where I was ended up being the leader, controlling a restart, and I was very, very nervous about it. I was like, I don't know what to do.
I laugh, but I'm the same. I don't know what I would do actually leading a restart because I've not really had to do one with the restart zones. We've got 3-4 wide action behind them, though. Jai Schultz gets away like a scalded cat, pulls out a nice lead, but behind it's an absolute furball of battling, and you can see them all across the track. 3, 4, 5 wide as they come across the front straight here. Well, the front tri-oval here at Kentucky, but they are falling in 2 by 2 now, getting into their twin lines. Low line controlled by by Kate Donnelly. High line controlled by Kate Donnelly. Low line was Troy Davidson as they try and shuffle their way through into position, and lots of action going on throughout the field. The whole field covered by about 3 seconds. So 23 cars covered by 3 seconds. That is not much at all.
No, and there's a lot of Simboy cars up the front there. They're all having a very good, strong run so far.
Yeah, Simboy's cars are notorious. When you spot one, there's always another 6 lurking in your mirrors. You've got to take care when you see one of them lurking around you. But they've been having such a strong season so far. They want to get their nominated drivers up there as well. If you're new to the series as well, Teams Championship, they have to nominate their drivers. They can't just rely on strength in numbers. They have to choose a certain set of drivers, and that's caught the Simboys out a few times this season. But last time they got it absolutely correct with their spreadsheet data. Will they be able to do the same again this week? Well, we'll find out soon. Up front, it is Jai Schultz. He has got the lead at the moment, but Troy Davidson's putting them under pressure. Of course, last season's champion, Troy Davidson, putting all the pressure he can on the back of the 27, and Troy would like to get it back into victory lane again tonight if he can. It was a long time coming since he last took it into victory lane. Getting it last time out was a great result for Troy. He would very much like to make it a double row and carry on the Simboys' dominance for winning these races. Kate Donnelly also back there with Todd Maxfield. Maxfield having a good recovery with Aaron Dillon. They're side by side once again. Hopefully we won't see as many fireworks this time, and they will keep out of each other's doors.
Yeah, these front 2 cars battling each other for the lead has slowed them up enough for the next bunch of cars to catch right up on them now. Now we're going to have 5, 6 cars all coming to challenge for the lead as well.
Absolutely, they are really battling it out. But you see Schultz just pulling away a little bit up the front each time. He's just keeping that clean air and using it to his advantage, and keeping his car up there with the JDRF, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Fund, on the car. Of course, another very worthy cause throughout the field tonight, and diabetes affects far too many people, unfortunately, but raising awareness of that is a great thing to do, and always nice to see that being spread as well. As you can see, Troy Davidson getting a good run right there, but Raymond Yeager also flying his way through the field, trying to put the pressure on behind. He is closing the gap, and never discount Raymond Yeager. He is always there or thereabouts. A very quick driver on the ovals. Very good in these V8s as well.
It was seeing a couple of Pinnacle drivers challenging early. Raymond Yeager and Justin Whitcher up in the top 10. Pinnacle Esports team drivers. They don't normally like to challenge too early in the race, except for the lead lap bonus, and then they sort of tend to just hover around the back until about halfway or 3/4 race distance, and then work their way up. But Looks like they've decided to go hard early.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to just try and get that bonus point and then just ease it off a little bit, keep themselves out of trouble. I just noticed tonight as well, we've got none of the SRM cars out there as well tonight. So a couple of people missing tonight's round, obviously. So a few people missing out on tonight's race, unfortunately. But it is a very busy weekend for many people. As up the front, making a bit of a run. Kay Donnelly now pushing his way forwards.
Yeah, we're going to have a battle for the lead here in a moment, I think. Although the battles behind the leader, going side by side, sort of is the advantage for the leader, really, because they're slowing each other down and letting him kick away. But looks like the Jaeger's going to have a crack at him now.
I was about to say, Jaeger getting a slightly good run there, but again, that low line seems so strong at the moment. Every time somebody gets a bit of a run, as soon as they get into turns one especially, if they're up on the high line, they seem to just drop back and fall like a stone, and that's what's happened there. Of course, you get a huge draft from these cars. There's a huge amount of drag that these things create with that big rear wing at the back. But that means there's a huge hole in the air punched behind them. But as soon as you get out from that, you all of a sudden hit this wall of air, and it slows you down quite quickly. So you've got to really take advantage of the slingshot when you can. And if you can't quite make it, then it does cost you quite quickly. But you can see there, they're just really trying to get past Jai at the moment, but he's doing a good job of keeping that car in the middle of the track, and just nobody's able to get that launch past the moment. A little bit of contact there, just a tiny glance of paint, but they make it through unscathed. Just checked him up a little bit. Todd Maxwell there, I think, just giving a little bump draft to Jai Schultz there. But they're making it through, and Luke Crum coming up quickly as well.
Yeah, it almost looks like he's sort of defending that low line. I think he's doing everything he can to keep that low line and saying, look, if you want to pass me, you have to pass me on the outside line. But the outside line is not good enough to get the pass done at the moment. With obviously Jaeger trying to do a move on the low line here.
Oh, very tough there.
Bumping and grinding going on up here.
Real door banging there. They were absolutely grinding next to each other.
It's all, yeah, it's a little bit dangerous, all blocking him. Yeah.
Todd Maxwell's taken advantage of it though. He used that little bit of contact between Jaeger and Schultz just to get himself past up into the lead. And, well, you know as well as me, Matt, when you make contact like that, when you defend that hard and rub doors with each other, you tend to find that, well, oval drivers, they keep it in the back of their mind for later.
Indeed. They might, this early in the race, they might give you that space now, but at the end of the race, they're not going to give you it. They're not going to give you that leeway.
So, an old friend of ours would say he's probably made it onto the list, and I'm sure Jaeger will be just mentally going, yeah, I'm going to make a note of that for later. And if we're in a similar spot, I'm not going to give much room. And Jai's going to be the same in that respect too. Luke Crum trying to get a run as well now, moving his way up to the front of the field. They are racing very hard at the moment, but Todd Maxwell's taking advantage of this, keeping himself out in front. So the inside lane cars working their way up as Jaeger and Schultz get very close to each other again. They are really racing hard at the moment. It almost feels like it's lap 130 rather than lap 28. They are racing very hard in this early stage of the race. As all contact between Crum and Jaeger. Crum just holds on to it, saves it, somehow coming out of turn 4. Great job by keeping it out the wall. That's cost a lot of speed as there's a huge check up behind and giving the front two a chance to run out ahead.
Yeah, it's going to sort of bunch these cars up behind them as well, and there's going to be a bit going on. This is just work their way through. Crum's done a good job. He's sort of recovered, dropped a few positions, but he's got a clean car. Now they're a little bit bunched up, so they'll just need to work together and try and pull those leaders back in again.
So you can see there's about a second gap between Jai Schultz and Raymond Jaeger now in second and third, but that will close very quickly. That's in the area where you can get in the draft, and all of a sudden, Jaeger's going to get in that draft and fly up there. He will be gaining a lot of speed all of a sudden.
Speaking of flies, sounds like you swallow one then.
Yes, pretty much. I'm going to have a bit of a coughing fit. I'll be back with you in a moment.
Have a drink. Yeah, as we see the 080 of Kobe Jordan, Sarah's pointed out in the chat, is up there now, up to 6th place. Luke Crumb's recovered, he's in 8th spot at the moment. For the most part, they've settled down single file now. Single file sort of top 10, it's not till you get to about 12th position here that we start seeing some double side-by-side racing. Aiden Schultz there has recovered well, because he was involved in that first caution, but he's now running in 11th in that Golden Octopus car. So it looks like he has managed to get away with not too much damage on that car in that first caution.
Yeah, it seems he's managed to get back out there and running relatively well at the moment, which is some good news for him and good news for that team as well. I just think Steve Hopper's in pit lane as well. I think he might be retiring the car, unfortunately. No major damage I can see on the 131 entry. So just unfortunately looks like he may just be having to pull out from other issues. So shame to lose Steve so early in the race. One of our favourites up here in the booth, Mr. Hoppet, but hopefully we'll see him back on track or back out next week and up in the points.
Yeah, we always like to see the Mad Dog out there racing.
Absolutely. So up the front, it has closed up once more. Everybody's got back into sort of single file and are working their way up there with 34 laps in. 100 to go here tonight for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by my Private Cellars. Of course, it is round number 7 here at Kentucky of season 6. Another fantastic season of the V8s on oval action again here. And well, we triggered to some great racing week in and week out, Matt. It makes our job so much easier.
It is. There's lots to talk about, yeah. Always lots going on and talking about. I mean, we're only focusing up on the front. I mean, we could jump back to, back down through the pack here, and, we could sit on 18th and 19th spot here and watch the battle for that as well. There's always really good close battles all throughout the field. It's hard to cover everything. We just try and look for where the bunches of cars are, try and think where there might be some possible action. So I still think there's some action to come between Schultz and Jaeger, so I think we'll keep our cameras peeled around there, I think.
Absolutely. You can see right there the action is happening. Cole Jordan right on the back of Justin Whitcher and Kay Donnelly too. So plenty of action happening up the front of the field. Peter Gretton and Mick Rush have both fallen off the back of the pack, unfortunately, but they will be trying to get back in contention in the near future. But we're going to keep our eyes on the front here because plenty of action happening. Todd Maxfield has got a nice lead up in front as Jaeger gives a little bit of a bump draft to Schultz there.
Yeah, I think we sort of see that he's acting as a bit of a cork in the bottle. It's not much, but it's just a little bit, and it's just allowed Maxfield just to skip away by almost a second now, as Whitcher's managed to power around the outside.
That's it. It was almost a little bit of a bump and run there from Jaeger, and it allowed his teammate Justin Whitcher to get the run up on the high side and move him way up into P2 and try and chase down Todd Maxfield a little bit as well, so he doesn't run away with it up the front. The Hot Toddy is flying at this stage, but Jaeger is still side by side with Jai Schultz here and racing very hard. And these two have been racing really hard for the past. Oh, contact again, and Jaeger's up in the wall. He just just gets it out, but I think there'll be some damage to that car right there, as it looked like there was a bit of a check-up happening in front. So looked like Jai might have just sort of lost the front end as Whitcher came down on track, and he just could not get that car turned in. Went up into Jaeger, and that could have been a big accident.
So if we see the incident here,
Maybe jump on blimp view for that one, because it's sort of...
yeah, there's the contact there. It sends them both up into the fence.
Almost looked like he just drifted up there. As I said, maybe Whitcher just in front of him just cut the front air off there, and it just lifted the front splitter up a little bit and stopped those front wheels connecting to the road. But that has dropped them back the pack quite a bit. So Jaeger down in 11th, Jai Schultz in 7th. So that's going to be, I reckon that's going to be a battle to keep our eyes on in the latter stages if those two get close to each other once more. Meanwhile, up the front, it's Justin Whitcher battling it out with Todd Maxfield side by side for the lead of the race. Whitcher's got the inside line at the moment in the Pinnacle car. The Simboy on the high side, 12 versus 16 right here. Whitcher gets a good run on the inside, and again, that inside line looks to be the one that is working.
Yeah, I think the inside line is definitely the fastest. It's really hard. You need to get a run on that. The outside line, I haven't seen too many people being able to make the outside line work to get those passes done. Now, whether that changes as the tyres get wear on them, I don't know. But yeah, the inside line's definitely the place to be.
Very much so. As again, Maxfield and Whitcher getting very close to each other. A little bit of a rub there. I think it was more netcode than contact, though. Unfortunately, you've got to remember that we are racing on a virtual sim, and that means there are some little niggling issues that happen, unfortunately, in the virtual world. It's called netcode, where a car, even though they're not touching each other, they kind of touch each other in the web space, and it causes a little bit of contact even if you really shouldn't get contact there, and that's what happened between Whitcher and Maxfield, and it just took away some of Whitcher's speed there, and he's dropped back a little bit, and now Cade Donnelly is right up there battling for the lead. Kobe Jordan up there too. He's up in 3rd position now in the inside lane Productions car. The 080 coming through the field nicely, up 16 spots in this race, climbing well. His teammate as well, Luke Cromer, up 12 positions, both of them being the biggest climbers of the race so far.
Yeah, they're both having a really good run, aren't they?
They've worked their way nicely through the pack so far and are doing a very good job of keeping themselves in contention here. It's just, you've got to be up there for the latter stages as Kobe Jordan takes the lead of the race, getting a run down the inside once again. The inside lane Productions car taking the inside lane and using it to his advantage, but now Maxfield's going to take it through 3 and 4. A little bit of contact, a little bit of door rubbing between the two. And remember, oval racing is full contact sport. A little bit of rubbing is racing in these races.
Yeah, the drivers got the boxing gloves on tonight. Cars look pretty stable, so they're taking the hits pretty well. Lots of contact, but no one's really lost it too badly so far.
Absolutely, and there's been some good recoveries from everybody keeping it on the track, which is good. And look, as we say, it is a contact sport, and nothing wrong with a little bit of door banging here and there. The big difference between these supercars compared to the stock cars that we're used to on these ovals, the Cup cars, the Xfinity Series, the NASCARs, they don't have the crash structure in the rear and the front, so you can't really bump draft as well with them. So they're designed a little bit more fragile, I've got to say, than the other stock cars. So they don't take as much punishment sometimes, but if you hit it in the right spot, it's generally going to be okay. And they've been doing that well tonight. So we're 3 wide up the front, which are on the high side. It's Todd Maxfield in the middle, Cade Donnelly down on the low side, and Kobe Jordan getting a huge run, trying to take advantage of that. Can't quite make it through. A little bit further back, Jaeger, Schultz, and Crum 3 wide too. They're starting to get really racy up here at the front once fuel starts to drop in the tanks. Expect to see Jai Schultz coming in pit lane in the next couple of laps as well. He's getting to that stage where his fuel tank's going to be running very, very low.
Yes. Oh, more contact again, but they saved it. It gets pretty racy up the front here. It's only, I mean, we're not even halfway yet.
Absolutely no holds barred tonight. It is the referee would be chastising all these drivers tonight if we had one. But they have been doing a really good job of racing hard with each other, really giving a few bumps. And look, people giving bumps and taking bumps when they need to, but nobody has had that big accident in the wall. And that's what we like to see in stock car racing. Justin Whitcher in the lead, Kobe Jordan in second. Kobe would sorely love to get himself across the line in the lead, though. Currently, he's got his car ahead a couple of times, but he's not had it across the line. As big move there from Jordan. Jumps down in front. Okay, Donnelly had to slam the brakes on as that caught him by surprise, but he keeps it down there. They keep it in the right place. Is Kobe Jordan going to get the run on the line this time? Just behind again, so he's not got that lap led yet. Seen as well, unfortunate news from Mr. Steve Hoppett, the Mad Dog himself, suffering from a bit of a cold at the moment. So we wish him a speedy recovery. Hopefully we'll see him back on track in the very near future. 51 laps in at the moment. Won't be long, I don't think, until we see Jai Schultz having to come down pit lane. He'll have saved some fuel with the caution, but we were expecting about 40-45, so obviously they can take it to 50. So this is always crucial information for us up here in the booth. So we'll see how much longer he can take it, and we'll get an idea of everybody else's fuel level.
Yeah, we've only really sort of got an estimate of what we think the fuel mileage is. Of course, there's a lot of different factors. Driving style, drafting. If you're out in front, you're going to be using more fuel than someone who's sitting in behind you for the whole run. Man, it's racy up the front here. Getting away with it for now, but I just don't know how long they're going to keep getting away with it.
Exactly. I get the feeling we're going to see a caution in the next couple of laps. The amount of raciness that's going on at the moment, it feels like we might see a caution happening. Kobe Jordan has managed to get a lap led. Jai Schultz is coming into pit lane this time round, so 53 laps is his limit. So that, I'd say, without a caution, about 50 laps is going to be a maximum on the tank. So we'll see the rest of the cars filling into pit lane in about 5 to 10 laps from now. So this is this good information for us up here in the booth, but the racing is still going on very hard at the moment. They are still being incredibly racy. 80 laps remaining here at Kentucky.
That's just massive runs. Like, someone will get a massive run out of turn 1 or turn 2, and go to the front, and then someone else will get a big run out of turn 3 and 4, and then they'll take over the lead. And yeah, so it's changing sort of every half lap, the lead at the moment.
Yeah, we talked about that before as well. We're coming up to some lap traffic right there as Peter Gretton just appears almost out of nowhere. It just happens so quick, and you can see the difference in pace as well. Peter Gretton's going at a fair lick of knots at the moment, but you catch these cars so quickly when you're running in a pack, and you've got to be careful not to be caught out by it. So the pack continues on. It's Aaron Dillon up in the lead in the 0-1-3. He's got Cade Donnelly, Kobe Jordan behind him. Justin Whitcher, Raymond Yeager, Dwayne Cruz, Troy Davidson, Luke Crum, Nicholas Walsh, and Tad Maxwell. That's our top 10 at the moment. and it won't be long until we start seeing the full force of green flag pit stops here at Kentucky. Of course, that means that as long as we don't see a caution flag, Matt, I mean, the aggression levels have really been on a high level, and we've not seen a caution, which is great stuff from all these drivers.
Yeah, I'm really surprised we haven't seen a second caution. But yeah, we'll see how they go working through traffic here. They seem to have settled down a bit. Single file, I think they're kind of maybe all starting to get ready for that pit stop cycle, because you don't want to be trapped on the high line, wanting to come down to the pits when the car below you is not pitting. You'd lose quite a bit of time trying to make a gap for yourself. So yeah, I think they're all sort of settling down single file, getting ready for this pit stop cycle that's going to start.
Yeah, remember Kobe Jordan, he came in for an extra splash of fuel, so he can probably go about a lap or 2 laps longer than the rest of this pack. So he'll be able to take it just a tiny bit longer than the rest of the field, I would imagine. So expect to see him stay out a little bit longer than the rest. And that can work out quite well, because you then have a nice clean pit lane to come into. You don't have to fight with people coming in on pit road, and you don't have as much melee combat on pit entry, which can really save you a lot of time. So that could be a really good call, and see how that one unfolds in the near future. But of course, green flag stops are always tricky. You've got to get the car stopped at the right time. There's so much time that can be won or lost on pit entry here. If you're really aggressive, you can gain upwards of about 3 to 4 seconds.
And that makes a huge difference. You're only talking about 3 or 4 seconds, but that's a massive difference. I mean, you can see the field there in the shot. Well, there's probably only about a second or two covering that. So, that's the difference between being at the front to being at the back.
Absolutely. From first to 19th, first to 18th, that's the rest. That's pretty much this whole pack. There is only 3.4 seconds, and that's the kind of time you can gain coming in and off pit lane if you absolutely nail it. So, it's a big amount of time you can gain, and especially if you can get yourself out in front of the rest of the pack, you can get some clean running, and that can make a bit of a difference as well. So they're all starting to settle in. Won't be long until we see some pit stops happening, though. The majority of the field's done about 52 laps now, so I think we'll be seeing them coming into pit lane in the very near future. Of course, these cars are a bit different to your regular stock cars on ovals. They have brake lights, so you can sort of see when the car in front of you is slamming on those brakes. People will sometimes call that they're coming into pit lane, but it's not a necessity. So you don't have to let people know you're pitting, but it's generally wise to do so when you're running in a pack like this up the front. So we're seeing Dwayne Priest pulling in. He's one of the only cars to come in this time round. Everybody else seeing how much longer they can take this stint as well. So there's plenty of decisions going on. I think we're going to see a whole lot of cars coming into the lane on this lap, though, Matt.
Yeah, we are about due.
And of course, the other thing that's with pit stops is it can sometimes mean a caution flag will fly if people make mistakes, which can easily be done when entering an exiting pit lane. As I think somebody may have just had a little bit of a moment coming into pit lane, because I saw some smoke hanging up in the air, and it looked like the telltale signs of a locked brake. And it was Mick Rush missing pit lane, but he's managed to pull it in right now.
I think we're going to see some pit stops here. Yep.
We are indeed. Aaron Dillon.
Donnelly.
Barber, Crum, Tomlin, Aristakis, Rothie, Latta, Spencer and Finley all coming into pit lane. So we've got Jaeger, Jordan, Whitcher, Davidson, Walsh and Patton all out on the track still, trying to go a little bit longer. As the rave starts down in pit lane.
Here's the Pinnacle cars, yep.
And you just see that with Justin Whitcher, he was just a little bit later. He's gained a little bit of time over his teammate there, just getting into pit lane. So it's a lot of time you can save a lot of time you can make up by doing that, of course. Now comes the hard part, finding your pit box. Of course, you get told by your crew chief where it is, but you've got to make the marks work. Get in the pit box perfectly. The car goes up on the air jacks. Fuel will go in. Not sure if drivers are going to take fuel the tyres right now. They might leave it for the next stint, or they might take their tyres right now, as we are actually at that half race distance. So it'd probably be wise to slap on a fresh set of boots right now. But that is all part of the game, of course. Jaeger pulls it out of his box, and you can see he was stationary for a lot less time. So maybe Jaeger did not take tyres and everybody else did. He was only stationary for about 19 seconds. Justin Whitcher about 34 seconds. So big differences in pit times. That could also be just taking a bit less fuel, because they all need to come into the pit lane one more time. But we might see some people just taking a little bit less fuel, just so they can come in again in about 20 or so laps time and then make it to the end, while others might have absolutely brimmed the tank, take it as long as possible, and then come in at the last minute to get some fuel in there. So everybody's back out on track, and Raymond Jaeger is now the leader of the race by, well, an eternity. He's got a 5-second gap over Nigel Patton, and then it's a further 14 seconds back to Dwayne Priest.
Yeah, I reckon they've done that alternate strategy that I sort of threw out last week. That I think is a pretty good one. You know, when you're dealing with only 2 sets of tyres, I think you do your first full run. You don't put your tyres on, then you do we know it's about 50 laps. Then your next stint is going to be probably about 34 laps, and then your final stint will be 50 laps. So I'd do 50. Then do the 34, then do the 50. But in this case, we know it's about 20, right? Because I think it's, is it lap 84? That would be 50 laps to get home?
Yep.
So, yeah, you want to go, what's that, 12, 13 laps? Put enough fuel in it to go 13, 14 laps. Do those laps, come in, put on that second set of tyres. Not that I think tyres are making much difference tonight. And, and then you fuel to the end, and then away you go.
No, absolutely. I reckon that is a decent strategy for tonight, and you can see just how much time it's gained them on track. So as long as a caution flag doesn't come out, it just gives you that little bit of extra time. The one thing that will, the sort of rest of the field will sort of catch them back up a little bit, because they'll take a little bit less fuel for that final stint, of course, so they'll be able to gain a little bit more time on the leaders. So they'll get their time back in the next round of stops. So although we've seen them drop a good 13 odd seconds, they will be able to gain some of that back as they can short fill for final stop. So it sort of ebbs and flows, but I think we could see, if it remains green, Jaeger and Patton being in a good position for this race.
Yeah, the crucial thing is going to be the draft, although looking at the timing data, actually, let's just check up the timing data here. Last lap times. We know that probably third and fourth onwards is sort of in the draft, whereas the leaders are not, and the lap times are relatively the same.
Yeah, well, it's an odd thing with these cars, of course, because you don't get that sort of pack, the pack speed that you do in a sort of more traditional NASCAR, of course. You get a lot of time by sort of slingshotting yourself up behind the car in front of you, but when you're running sort of in a pack, you don't get the drag reduction that you would in your more standard NASCAR. So that's one of the things that really makes this a different style of racing. So the packs, they don't gain as much time as you would say in a traditional NASCAR, so it can make these strategies actually work out quite well.
Yeah, I like it. I like seeing alternative strategies. I'm really interested to see how this plays out. Sorry, I had to cough as well. Yeah, I like seeing the alternative strategies, as you say, like, in theory, if this kid goes green, those other cars who took the longer pit stop now take a shorter pit stop next time, and then they all match up. They should be pretty much around the same time and meeting on the road together. So, yeah, let's just see how it plays out. It'll be really good.
Absolutely. Look, I'm all for alternative strategies, because even when I'm racing, I try to use a different strategy to everybody else, because you never. There's less chance you're going to win if you do the same as everybody else. If you try something different, there's always a chance that it could work for you. Often it doesn't, of course. Often it fails, but occasionally it can work out. And if it does, then you can take that to your advantage. So we are seeing up here Jaeger and
That's Finley, but Finley's just trying to get one of his laps back. He is 2 laps down.
yes, what's happened to Finley to get that, lose that second lap, I wonder, because oh no, he was actually at the back of the pack of that, so yes. So yeah, he's trying to get back onto at least 1 lap down and seeing what he can do racing. And of course, you know, racing the leader will just slow them down a little bit too and allow the rest of the cars to gain up. What Jaeger needs to do here is just have his head down and just absolutely go as fast as possible and try and get that little bit of a run in the clean air.
And the chasing pack have got themselves organised single file here, so just trying to do the best they can. They are bringing that gap down slowly. It's down to I think 11.8 seconds now from 3rd to 1st.
Yeah, so just looking at sort of lap timing, and Jaeger last time around was a 32 on the money, whereas the rest of the field was a 31.6. Nigel Patton 31.8. He's sort of getting some good time in the car at the moment, and as I said, it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. Hopefully, we're going to see it green and get an idea of how these strategies play out. Currently, the first car lap down is Aidan Schultz in the 52, recovering from the only caution we've seen tonight. He's running out there and still got some good pace in that Golden Octopus car, so good to see for Aidan Schultz. Hopefully, he can keep up the pace and maybe find his way back onto the league lap if we see a caution flag flown in the next 55 laps or so.
It's kind of it's really quietened down, hasn't it, compared to what it was before?
It has indeed. I mean, there's a couple of little races going on, but everybody's sort of followed the leader at the moment. Nobody's, you know, they don't want to be racing too hard in this pack down third onwards, because the more they race, the slower they're going to go. And they keep swapping a couple of positions here. I've sort of seen a few positions being swapped here and there from these guys, and it has started costing them a little bit of time. But of course, you sort of sometimes using that slingshot method can gain you a fair bit of time as well. So I think we're starting to see the first of our pit stops happening for people that can just about make it to the end. And Jai Schultz has taken advantage of that with Michael Latter. So both of those have come into pit lane to take their final stop. So they think they can make it all the way to the end from here, as long as there's no green-white checker.
Yeah, so that puts them around about that 53 lap mark, I think. So yeah, as long as there's no green-white checker, they should be alright.
That's it. So it'll be interesting to see how that one unfolds. So we might see some more cars popping into pit lane in the near future as well, especially Jaeger and Patton. Both of those were relatively short on their stop times. So they're going to try something a little bit different and see how that one unfolds. Justin Whitcher and Luke Crum are racing at the moment on track for 5th and 6th position. As I say, it's settled down a little bit after these pit stops, Matt, but there is still plenty of action to come. And I think once we get to the final few laps, I think it's going to heat right back up again. And of course, we are just one caution away from everything going absolutely haywire.
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone's just kind of working here towards that last pit stop now. They're they've decided to sort of settle in a little bit and work towards that.
Jaeger in pit lane.
Yeah, there we are. So I imagine he'll be grabbing his tyres, his set of tyres that he's got, and getting fuel as well, and then yeah, good to go to the end.
Yeah, that could also explain why he had that little drop off on pace. So, you know, because if he didn't take tyres last time around and everybody else did, we could see they were catching a little bit. They have a little bit more speed. And if Jaeger's taking tyres this time, he should have a little bit more pace over the rest of the field as well. And that could be crucial for the latter stages of the race, just having a slightly fresher set of tyres on. Nigel Patton, meanwhile, has got to the lead, and My Private Cellar's entered Pinnacle eSports car. The number 90 leading away, getting his bonus point as well for that lap led. He's running along nicely at the moment. Just behind him, there's a bit of a battle happening for the lucky dog position, you got to say. Chris Finlay, Aidan Schultz, Michael Latter, all battling it out at the moment, trying to get that lucky dog position, as well as Jai Schultz, who is 2 laps down at the moment after taking his final stop.
Yeah, after taking his first pit stop, wasn't really able to make up the ground. Lost a bit of ground, and yeah, so unfortunately he's 2 laps down, so he'll be hoping it stays green and it plays out, because he should be able to get hopefully both of those laps back.
Yeah, he's going to have to get right on the pace to sort of make it back at the moment, because he's sort of really fallen out of this race by using that really alternate strategy, and it's not looking like it's paid off at the moment. It's really thrown him sort of into an unenviable position, but of course race is not over by a long shot, as he gets one of those laps back as he passes Nigel Patton there with Michael Latter. So he is just 1 lap down now, so it's starting to come back to him. So it's definitely not over, but he is quite a long way from the rest of the pack, so it's sort of it's not really worked to his advantage. But once everybody comes through pit lane, we might find out that he's just managed to get himself a little bit further up the field, so we'll see how that one unwinds as it goes. Andy Barber in pit lane as well, so we're starting to get those people coming in for those final stops now. Nigel Patton taking it a bit longer than I expected as well. I thought he would be coming in very quickly after Jaeger, but he's managed to take it a fair few laps now, so he's done a really good job of keeping some fuel in that car. And the number 90 chugging along nicely in the lead, 3 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack. Kobe Jordan, Luke Crum, Cade Donnelly, Troy Davison and Justin Whitcher, although Donnelly and Davison and Whitcher just coming into pit lane now, so we are seeing those final pit stops happening thick and fast.
Yeah, they're all coming in, grabbing that full tank to the end, grabbing those tyres if they've got them still, and yeah, positioning themselves, getting ready to go right to the end.
Yeah, lots of stops happening as Nigel Patton, I think, maybe he was looking to come in then, but maybe just missed pit entry, just started to struggle going around the corner. So not sure what happened there to Nigel Patton, but you can see Raymond Jaeger right on his tail now, and working his way up after his pit stop. And Jaeger is got some really good pace at the moment. I wonder if he maybe didn't worry about tyres, because he was pretty rapid through pit lane again.
Patton is pitting.
There we go. So yeah, he was only about 28 seconds, so he was pretty rapid through again. So just getting that fuel stop done. So Nigel Patton coming in. That's going to leave Luke Crum in the lead of the race. Number 30 Inside Lane Productions car. Going to get himself a bonus point right here. And himself and Kobe Jordan at the moment running along nicely in first and second.
As they're just passing Greg Spencer. Greg's 4 laps down, so obviously had a bit of an issue along the way.
I think Greg might have got himself a penalty earlier on. I saw him having to dart down pit lane again, so I think maybe he got a speeding penalty, and that's why he's dropped off the pace, unfortunately, for Greg Spencer there.
Yeah, those hurt. When it's a green flag run, that really hurts. Sarah's pointing out that it is inside lane 123 at the moment.
is indeed Christopher Tomlin up there as well. Christopher Tomlin, a bit further down the pace. He's about 22 seconds off the leaders at the moment, but all three of the cars up in 1, 2, 3 position. Aidan Schultz as well. He's up there in 4th position after having a heavy impact with the wall. Good job from him. Troy Davidson sitting in 5th position, as he is the first of those cars that has taken his pit stop. So we can get a bit of an idea of how it's shaken out. And we saw how much of a lead Jaeger had when he took his stop. Well, now it's shaken out and everybody's made their stops, almost. He's come out right in front of his teammate, Justin Whitcher. So he didn't lose or gain any time, because when the pit stops happened, he was just in front of Justin Whitcher. Now it's all unfolded. He's just in front of Justin Whitcher. So that just shows how the strategies play out when you try the different stops. But it has kept him right up the front of the field. He's just behind Troy Davidson and Andy Barber.
Yeah, well, that's I was just about to point that out. Barber's made the big move because Troy Davidson and Andy Barber are both in front of Raymond. So, yeah, when that pit cycle sort of began, Raymond was in front of them, and now Andy's decided it's go time, so he's now up there challenging for the win.
Yeah, Andy Barber had a really good run through pit lane, about 41.6 seconds, about a second faster than Troy Davidson, and almost a second faster than anybody else as well. So he had a really good transition through pit lane, and that has helped him get right up to the front. So good driving there by Andy Barber. Very well done to get himself cycled through to the front of the field there. And as we were talking about, you know, that transition through pit lane is so crucial in green flag stops. And tonight, Andy Barber has done an excellent job of making that work.
Yeah, it's very crucial, and when it's a green flag race like this one, as you say, you can make up a couple of seconds on pit lane, and it makes all the world of difference when it's green flag running like this.
It does indeed, and it's that thing of, you know, probably not taking that extra bit of fuel just in case there's a green light checker. He's probably taking just enough fuel to get him to the very end of the race, but no further. Those little things make a big difference. And also your braking markers coming into pit lane. So many little tips and tricks that you can use to gain time on pit lane. But Andy Barber's taken it to his advantage and really, really making it pay off at the moment. Although Troy Davidson just getting past him right there. He's racing very hard. Kate Donnelly and Justin Whitcher also battling there. And you can see them getting very close to each other there. And even a little bit of bump drafting.
Mm-hmm. Trying to get use their pace to get through, and is it Donnelly who's come out of nowhere now, and he's now in there contending?
Absolutely, Kate Donnelly just appearing, like Simboy's cars do, towards the sort of lead packs, you've got to say, and he's got himself right up there. But the leader at the moment is Kobe Jordan. He's going to have to come into pit lane soon, so he'll have to pop.
Well, I've still got him another 20 laps. If he fueled up to the top, he'd be another 20 laps before he pits in. So I think the inside lane cars are going for that alternate, different strategy where they're just going to run this all the way out and then short pit to finish the race.
That's it. They're going to really try, or of course banking on a late caution as well. The late caution could really help them out here tonight, because all three of those cars are on the lead lap. Everybody else is off the lead lap. So a late caution here could really put them in a good position for the end of this race. Aidan Schultz as well in that group, although Aidan is a lap down. So he's sort of not quite in the Goldilocks spot of the inside lane productions cars, but as we say, it's not a bad place to be in. He's taking a little bit of a different gamble here and seeing what he can do. We've seen that Kobe Jordan still got some good pace in the car. He's just getting past Nigel Patton there, and they're sort of swapping positions every couple of laps or so. I keep seeing those two cars just switching positions, so they're sort of slingshotting each other at the moment, and that's helping keep some good pace in those cars.
It is. I'm just trying to work out how far back Donnelly and Barber are to the leader.
40 seconds.
40 seconds?
Yeah. So
40
seconds at the moment. So
and we're running 31. So effectively, what I'm thinking is they're only 8 seconds back from running them down and unlapping themselves on the track. if they can make up those 8 seconds, they'll get themselves back on the lead lap, and yeah.
Get themselves in a good position. You know, pit lane transition time is, I think, one of the fastest we've seen so far. It's about 40 seconds. So, you know, they're just on the bubble of sort of getting through and keeping themselves in the lead at the moment. So they're in a decent spot, but they've also got themselves covered if there is a late caution.
And they need to keep the pace up, which they are doing. They're pretty much matching times with that pack behind them, the chasing pack. Only about a tenth or two between the lap times. So yeah, they're doing really, really well.
The car that's flying at the moment is Cade Donnelly. He's managing to sort of get out in front a little bit, and he's starting to pull away a little bit. The rest of the pack's starting to catch now, but Cade's sort of seeing what's happening, and he's going, yep, I need to get the speed in here just to cover myself off from those boys that are leading at the moment, because they are sitting in a very good spot. If we keep on battling like we were, it's only going to help them extend their lead. Of course, they're going to have a shorter time through pit lane, as they'll only need to throw a couple of seconds of fuel in there. So they could well find themselves coming out back in the lead of this race in a green stop time. The longer they stay out on track, if they keep up the pace, means the shorter time they have in pit lane, less stationary time, and that could really help them out at the end of tonight's race. So we're seeing lots of different strategies at play here, Matt, and that's what I love to see in racing.
Yeah, we just don't know how this one's going to play out, so that's great. You want something that's going to keep you guessing to the end, not a domination by one driver and one team, like other sports series around we see.
Absolutely, like a certain other motorsport that we see that starts with F and ends in 1. But
there's only one driver in it.
Yeah, that's it.
Nowadays.
Winning by about 30 seconds in a sprint race. Yeah, it's fantastic stuff. We love that. But we're seeing great racing here tonight, at least. And well, as we said, we should hopefully see some good racing tomorrow as well in the Cup Series, because we're going to be seeing those cars heading to the Windy City, and we're going to see one Shane Van Gisbergen in there as well. And that's going to be an interesting little race. Jenson Button too racing in that, so a lot of international audiences are going to have their eyes on tomorrow's race.
Yeah, and I'd imagine there'd be a bit of a bump for the Supercar series in this region. If they're smart, they should be picking up on it and doing everything they can to make sure they do see a bump.
Absolutely, it's a really good opportunity for the old advertising, and it'd be great to see that happening. And look, no, not really a stranger to the sim racing either, Mr. Van Gisbergen. We have seen him absolutely hammering around some of the virtual tracks. We know just how quick that boy is, so it's going to be fantastic to see that. But tonight we've still got racing going on, as we see Luke Crum with Patton racing each other still. They are going for it still up there. And Nigel Patton, he's trying to get himself just one lap down as well, so it's crucial for him to keep up there. He's racing Jai Schultz too, who's just a little bit further behind, and Michael Latter. So these three are racing hard with each other, and they're mixing it up with the leaders. But what's happening right here is it's almost slowing the two leaders down. The rest of the field have gained about 2.5 seconds as we've been prattling along. Cade Donnelly has brought the gap down to 38.2 seconds.
Yeah, Donnelly's been making up a good half a second a lap for a while now. But yeah, I'm never comfortable with leaders having to race around lap cars like this. But yeah, it can be done as long as it's done respectfully and given plenty of room, so to make sure that you're not affecting the leaders. Then it's fair game.
Absolutely, I think honestly, if I'm Kobe Jordan right now, I probably want Patton in front of me and just using him as a bit of a draft breaker, and also just helping me save a bit of fuel. If he's got the pace to run up there, just using him as a sort of just helping you just get a little bit of a tow could be a useful way, because at the moment all this racing that's going on around them is costing them time. So it's almost like they need to fall up a single line pack right here and try and gain up some time. And that could be a really crucial move in this race. If they can get themselves in a single file line, they could possibly find themselves getting some speed and actually pulling themselves away from that chasing pack, who are now just 37 seconds away. So that rest of the pack is closing in. And look, in green flag pit stops, sort of, if the times are what we think they're going to be, this is going to drop them about 2 to 3 seconds off the rest of the field, and that's a lot of time to lose. So, just really got to race hard, get in a single line, and just try and get the speed going right now. That's going to be a crucial part of this race, because that's kind of what's happened. As I said, Kay Donnelly, he just put his head down and just started running away from the rest of the pack.
He's flying. He's absolutely flying at the moment compared to the leaders. He's a good half a second to 0.6 of a second per lap faster every lap.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job at the moment, and just keeping his head down. And just every time I glance over as well, Cade is one of the fastest cars on track as well. He's got the fastest lap as well, 30.7. So he is really, really flying at the moment. As Kobe Jordan is still leading. He's up the front with Luke Crum. They have now fallen in line, and they've got Patton in front of them. So this is kind of what I suggested, is just, if Patton's got the speed, just keep him in front of you and use him as a draft advantage. Aidan Schultz is coming into pit lane, so he's pulled the trigger and needs to come in for fuel. It's not going to be long until we see Kobe Jordan, Luke Crum and Christopher Tomlin coming into pit lane. Christopher Tomlin's done a great job of closing the gap a little bit as well. He's been really, really pushing, trying to close his gap. He's now 26 seconds behind the leaders, but he's managed to take a little bit of time away from those two other cars. So great driving there from this group, but they're going to need to pop into pit lane in the next lap or two.
Yeah, I've got them at... actually, we can chuck up a thing. A graphic for that. Yeah, so we can see here from this graphic I've put up here, the leaders 50 laps since their last pit stop, 51 for Crum and 50 for Tomlin, so they're going to be thereabouts, pitting in the next lap or two.
And I think they're coming in right now. I can see them slowing down on the entry. They've got to hit this pit road absolutely perfectly, take as much pace as you can into the lane. And look at Luke Crum, he has taken advantage of that. He actually overtook his teammate Kobe Jordan. So as long as Luke Crum didn't speed, he could find himself with a couple of milliseconds faster in the lane. So getting your marks perfect. Just going to chuck in a little bit of fuel. There won't be much time stationary. Let's see what it is, as they're going to start pulling away at any moment now, as Christopher Tomlin has got past. So 15 seconds stationary. So out they come. And Cade Donnelly is coming up thick and fast across the line. He goes, and past they go as well. So just didn't have enough pace to keep themselves in front of the rest of the pack, and that has dropped him off. Unfortunately, the caution that they needed did not come. Christopher Tomlin has got a lap led though. He's coming into pit lane now, and he'll be dropping back through the field as well. So Cade Donnelly back up into the lead. Justin Whitcher, Andy Barber, Raymond Yeager and Troy Davidson. That is our battle for the lead of the race right here.
17 laps to go. Everyone's all on cycle now. I think we'll see it sort of pick up a bit of action now.
Luke Crum had a great stop. You can see, we glance at the, we just glance at him and Kobe Jordan. You can see Luke Crum absolutely nailed his pit stop. He's got a good second over Kobe Jordan, and considering he was behind him once they came in, he's done a very good job of taking as much time as he could through pit lane. But unfortunately, it was not enough to keep them in the lead. They're about 10 seconds behind the lead pack now. Only 5 cars though in contention here at the moment. So again, it really has broken things up with these green flag stops. 15 laps remaining here tonight for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by my Private Sellers here on Performance eStreaming.
There is quite a massive field spread, isn't there? That top 5 and then in a pack, and then then 10 seconds to the next one. Unusual to see such a wide spread.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, obviously with the green flag stops, that's really shaken things up a bit. I think with the caution falling where it did, it has changed things up a little bit. So it has made for an interesting race tonight. And look, just seeing those drivers that absolutely are on it when they come in pit lane, they have really managed to gain themselves a nice bit of advantage here.
What this adds as well is not only are these guys going to battle hard now for the win at the end, but they've also got to battle that traffic.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of those cars not wanting to go a lap down. We see Michael Latter there just falling down a lap, and now they're coming up to Jai Schultz as well. Jai Schultz, he is just about on the lead lap, but not for much longer as Cade Donnelly even gets down the inside and takes him and drops him down a lap. Next on the list is going to be Nigel Patton. So, yeah, it's been a really, really fast pace up here at the front, and this sort of top 5 has really been on it tonight.
Yeah, these Whitcher and Donnelly at the moment are absolutely flying. Obviously the tank's burned off the fuel and getting lighter, and the tyres are good, and yeah, they're running down 31 ones at the moment, which is only about 0.4 of a second off their fastest laps in the whole race. So yeah, so their pace is right there at the end.
It is indeed, as Andy Barber just had a heart in the mouth moment as his connection just got a little bit iffy, but luckily he's back out on track and just behind Troy Davidson. So it's been a good run for the number 5 tonight. He sort of really took advantage of that pit strategy. He's been running up the front sort of all night long, but he really had a good pit stop and jumped himself right up into the main pack. We saw Raymond Jaeger trying a very different strategy, and it hasn't not paid off, you've got to say. He's sitting in 3rd position at the moment in the RKJ Web Services car, and it sort of worked out well for him. He's sort of not quite up behind the leaders, but he is just within spitting distance. Troy Davidson up on the high side as well, so Troy Davidson having a good run there in the Sim Boys car too. Hopefully it will be Cade, Troy and Nicholas Walsh for the spreadsheet tonight, just so they can get the most out of their points. But up the front, we've got a pass for the lead possibly happening as Justin Whitcher getting a run in the Whitcher Electrix sponsored Pinnacle Esports entry, getting a good run there. Can't quite make it work at the moment as he's battling with Troy Davidson, with Todd Maxfield, who's just fallen down a lap. But of course, Simboy's teammates there just trying to help each other out a little bit.
Just not making it easy for Whitcher to make the pass. Just putting his car there just in a bit of an annoying spot, as you should do, as as your teammates in the battle.
Absolutely, and you can see right there that another teammate.
Yeah, he doesn't return the favour. The 90 should have been returning the favour. Yeah, the
very generous there.
Very generous, Pinnacle. Yeah, what are you doing?
Nigel Patton just being extra generous there and not getting in the way of the leaders. 7 laps to go here. Donnelly and Whitcher are really battling it out. About a second back is Jaeger. 1.3 is Troy Davidson, and Andy Barber sitting 2 seconds off the lead. The top 5 are really the main battle. But I've got to say, at the moment, the battle for the lead is still very much on, and it's business as usual for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, as we see the United Electrical Solutions Sim Boys entry, battling it out with the Whitcher Electrix entry of Justin Whitcher, and they are really fighting hard up the front, swapping who is the leader at the moment every time I look.
Yeah, and this battling's slowing them down a bit as well, which is allowing Raymond to sort of catch up to them as well now. So Donnelly and Whitcher would definitely had the pace over everybody else. They were really going for it and pulling away. But yeah, now that they're sort of battling, it's allowing those 3, 4, 5 cars to catch up. And it is good to see Andy Barber in the top 5. I just hope he can bring it home and get a good result, because we've seen him have some really good runs in races earlier this season, but just for whatever reason in the wrong place at the wrong time, a bit of bad luck, and it gets sort of cleaned out, and it doesn't get the finish result that he kind of deserves. But so yeah, hopefully he can hold on and bring home a good top 5 run.
Yeah, that would be crucial for the Southern Stars boys as well. They want to get a good result for the team. His internet's hopefully going to play ball. 4 laps to go, and we can see them all closing up now. You can see Jaeger and Davidson really closing the gap now up to the front. The top 4 cars separated by just a couple of tenths, 4 tenths of a second between the top 4 at the moment. And they are starting to get themselves in that position of where do we want to strike? No real advantage, because it's 2 for 2. In both of them, we've got Whitcher and Jaeger in Pinnacle, Donnelly and Davidson in the Sim Boys. So it's a 4-car battle, but only 2 teams in there. So who is going to be able to work it out with their teammates? Are they going to try and get themselves linked up? You can see Jaeger getting down to link himself up with Whitcher right now. Donnelly on the high side. He's going to have Davidson for company. So this is where the teammates are going to start working together. Who can get themselves in the right spot at the right time? We are going to find out in just 2 laps time here tonight at Kentucky.
It's really heating up now.
Davidson's just leaving a bit of a gap now. He's just opened up a bit of a gap so he can get a bit more of a run, I would say, as we are very much getting close. Just, well, about 2 miles left of this race. It is very much getting closer and closer every time I look. And Nigel Patton as well for Pinnacle. He's starting to get close as well. So 3 Pinnacle cars there, 1 a lap down. But the 2 Sim Boys are right on the high side. And well, we've seen the low line working for the race tonight. Is it going to be the same here? Okay, Donnelly gets the advantage for the white flag lap. He leads that lap. Whitcher on the inside, Jaeger on the inside, Donnelly and Davidson on the high side. The high side's looking a little bit better now at this stage of the race, but you can see them just pushing each other along, bump drafting down the back straight. They go, coming up to the finish line. Who is going to take it? It's looking good for Whitcher at the moment. Can Cabe Donnelly get a run here? It's not looking like he can. It's going to be Justin Whitcher taking victory here tonight at Kentucky, with Cabe Donnelly and Troy Davidson rounding out our podium. As Troy Davidson and Raymond Jaeger once again separated by not even a cigarette paper in width. So, what, 3 races in a row those 3 have been separated by nothing. And once again, Troy Davidson comes out on top.
Has he run out of fuel? Or is Patton just helping him?
just making it a little bit easy to get the line. As I think, yep.
He's run out of fuel. Wow, that's how close he cut it.
Brilliant stuff. And that's what we were talking about, those green flag stops. You have to be right on it to get it to the line. So let's run through the finishing order for tonight's race. It's Justin Whitcher taking victory here tonight by a mammoth 1/10 of a second. One of the biggest winning back margins we've seen for a while. Kate Donnelly comes home in second for the Sim Boys, with Troy Davidson coming home third, with Raymond Jaeger separated by bugger all again between himself and Troy, but taking the spoils again for Troy Davidson. Raymond Jaeger comes home in 4th. Andy Barber brings it home in 5th tonight. Great job from him. He's going to be happy for that. The Inside Line production crew had a fantastic run tonight. They bring it in 6th and 7th, with Luke Crum 6th, Kobe Jordan in 7th. Nicholas Walsh comes home in 8th, Kim Roffey in 9th, and Parry Anastakis, quite a night for himself, but the Rogue Sim Sports crew had a good night, coming home in 9th and 10th, with himself, Kim Roffey and Parry Anastakis. Nigel Patton brings it home in 11th, with Michael Latter in 12th, Joy Schultz 13th, 14th for Christopher Tomlin, Aidan Schultz 15th, Todd Maxfield 16th, Christopher Finlay in 17th, 18th for Greg Spencer, Nick Rush 19th, 20th for Dwayne Priest, Aaron Dillon in 21st, Peter Gress in 22nd, and Steve Hoppett 23rd.
Why are there so many Fords and no Holdens? There's only one, two, three. There's only 4 Holdens out of 23. Wow.
It's the trouble. They stopped producing the Holdens. So, you know.
Mustn't be any parody or something. Jeez. It's something that caught my eye.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, barely any Holdens in it. It's such a shame, isn't it? You know.
Well, the Holden drivers didn't turn up tonight.
No. Bad night for Holden. Good night for Ford, though. But a good night for all of us here tonight for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, of course, brought to you by Private Cellars. A big thank you to the sponsors as well, as always, helping us keep the racing going. So let us start off by bringing up our third place man, Mr. Troy Davidson, back up into the booth. It's been a good streak for Troy Davidson recently. We didn't see him in the booth for a while, and all of a sudden he's made it 3 in a row. Troy, welcome back to the booth, mate. Congratulations on P3 here tonight, beating Jaeger once again by a huge margin tonight.
Yeah, I was just having a bit of a laugh about that. It's races. I've got him all 3 times, so he's been a big margin tonight. But it's just great battles every week at the moment. Sort of loving it.
Absolutely. I mean, the Simboys logo on the front, that must be helping. You've got the big S sticking out on the front of the bonnet with the timing sensor on there. But it's been a really good battle we've seen so far this season. It was great racing to the end. We saw you guys really pulling off in the green flag stops. And, well, there was pretty much only 5 of you that made your way to the front at the end.
Yeah, it's I had the quality lap in me. I was just talking to Justin in the green room them, and I don't know, I just sort of felt like I was battling all night tonight. I sort of felt like I could hang on to the packs and everything, but I just felt like I didn't have a lot more up my sleeve and without sort of scrubbing the tyres. And then just at the end there, sort of got to change my lines a little bit and sort of felt like I had a bit of speed come on. So it was, managed to sort of get in the podium, which I didn't think I was going to get tonight.
No, well, it's been a good patch recently. As I said, we've not seen you up in the booth for a while, and all of a sudden you're up here every night.
Yeah, no, that's where we like it, mate. That's where we want to be.
No, look, excellent stuff. Now, just with the tyres, when did you decide to make your stop?
The second stop we went, I think it was about 90 laps in. It was weird. I thought the tyres were going to be a lot more savage tonight than even more so than last week, and they sort of were, but they did hold on. But then if you pushed them, they seemed to heat up, sort of thing. But the actual wear on the tyres wasn't too bad.
No, absolutely. Well, it's good to see. And you had a really good run there at the end. I mean, obviously, yourself and Cade were sort of stuck up on the high line, and we've seen all race long that didn't look to be the fastest one. But you sort of had it working for the white flag lap, but just on the checkered flag, it just didn't pay off for you.
Nah, we Cade went in a little bit deep in turn 3 because obviously it was all going for the win, and it was a fine line that there was good speed to be had in 3 and 4 through that middle section. But if you just went a tiny little bit high or braked a little bit too late, you just went up into the marbles, and I think we got caught a little bit up there. But it was interesting because 1 and 2 you probably want to be down low, and 3 and 4 up in the middle sort of thing.
Absolutely. Look, a good run, though, at the end. Congratulations on P3 here tonight, Troy. We'll make Cade do the hard work because he finished ahead of you. But personal thanks and sponsors tonight. Anyone you want to give a shout out to? Mrs. loves it when I give her a shout out. So, Jackie give a shout out to let me get on here every Sunday night. But, let Cade do all the legwork with all the sponsors. Absolutely. Congratulations, Troy. Hopefully we're going to see you back in the booth again. Make it 4 for 4. Good luck next time out, mate, and well done on a P3 here tonight at Kentucky.
Awesome, Carl. Cheers, mate.
Great job there for Troy Davidson in the Simboys. Next up, we will bring up our 3rd place finisher. It is Mr. Cade Donnelly. Cade, welcome back to the booth, mate. Congratulations on P2 here tonight at Kentucky.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Good to be back.
Good to have you back. We're saying at the start of the broadcast, no Gary here tonight, so it was up to one of your other Sim boys to get the win here tonight, and you almost got it, but just missed out on the line at the end there.
Yeah, I was just sort of, I was experimenting a little bit with the line in 3 and 4, and I think maybe mid to high was working all right if you had tyres, but yeah, I probably pushed it a little bit too deep, a little bit too eager, and Justin got underneath me, so good on him.
Absolutely, just missing out by a hair tonight. The big question is the spreadsheet. Who did you have working on the team championship tonight?
Myself, Troy, and Dwayne.
Okay. So I think Dwayne went out with a connection issue, I think.
Yeah, he lost his packets, mate.
Oh no, that's a shame. But the spreadsheet kind of worked out for the two of you tonight, so that's some good news for the team championship.
Yeah, no, like, it'll still be solid points, I guess. Yeah, so we'll see how it comes out in the wash.
Absolutely. Look, a solid run from yourself tonight. I mean, we saw with the green flag stops, a few people trying a couple of different strategies tonight, but it really worked out well for you. You must be pretty happy with your sort of pit lane transition times.
Yeah, I made a little boo-boo. I overshot the pit garage a little bit, but yeah, the actual stop itself was good, and the strategy worked out pretty well in my favour. So.
Oh, absolutely. It paid off tonight for the team. A really solid run here tonight at Kentucky. I mean, as I say, just missing out on the win by 9 1,000. So not a huge gap tonight, but it's just one that slipped through the fingers. Hopefully, though, next time we get you up in the booth, it will be for one place higher.
Yeah, well, we can only hope, mate.
Congratulations tonight, Kate. Now, of course, because you're the highest finishing sim boy, it means you have to do the hard work with all the sponsor shout outs.
Yeah, well, obviously to the boys, to Hot Toddys and United Electric, Tasmanic Electrical, yeah, and you guys, of course, for broadcasting, and to the league, no doubt.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kate. Congratulations on P2 here tonight at Kentucky, and good result for the team as well. Well done indeed, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in no time.
Cheers, Wilco.
Okie dokie. And finally tonight, it's been a bit of time since we've spoken to this man, especially up in Victory Lane. It is Justin Whitcher for Pinnacle. Justin, welcome back to the booth, mate. Congratulations on a solid victory here at Kentucky.
Yeah, thanks, boys. How are we?
Not bad at all. I mean, obviously, with no Wellman out there tonight, it made your job much easier.
Yeah, he's going all right this year. Yeah, he's been a big green wall at the front, but yeah, no. Well, while he's away, might as well try and take him as much as we can.
Absolutely. While the cat's away, the mice will play, and it played nicely for yourself tonight and the team. A really solid drive for yourself tonight. We saw you keeping yourself up towards the front of the field all night long. Were you expecting to stay up there all night, or were you thinking about dropping off a little bit in the early stages if you got that lap led?
Nah, it's not. Usually I'd like to sit back a little bit, sort of mid-pack, and see what unfolds until, 3/4 of the way through, but it hasn't really worked out for me for the last few weeks, so I thought I'm going to change it, and seems to work well for the sim boys sitting up front and keeping out of everything, so I thought I'm going to sit on their tails and see what happens.
Well, that strategy paid off very well tonight because it got you the victory.
Yeah, no, it was worked out very well. It was a bit sketchy mid-race there, but there's a fair few fighting for a lead lap, but yeah, it's just, I suppose I was able to hold on to those tyres that little bit better than all the other boys.
Absolutely. We saw you, you absolutely timed the fuel to perfection as well. Obviously, the green flag stops, you really got that one nailed.
Yeah, she coughed before the little indicator comes up that you finish your race. So yeah, it couldn't have been much better.
Absolutely, time for perfection. We saw you sort of running the sort of, we'd say the sort of traditional strategy with everybody else. You sort of kept the traditional strategy, but your teammate Jaeger trying a slightly different strategy tonight. But there wasn't really much time to be gained or lost with either, by the looks of it.
No, it was it was quite surprising actually. usually I'd roll with Raymond, but I didn't untick the box, as everyone says, that filled her right up in that first pit stop. So I got caught and thought, oh, well, I'll just see what happened. And everyone else turned out I was just sitting there watching. No one else was moving. I was like, well, looks like I'm with the whole group. So yeah, I think it was only Nige and Raymond who did the alternative. But yeah, I was really surprised because even Raymond went in earlier for his second stop and come out. We were literally line astern out of the pit. So yeah, there wasn't really an undercut or anything tonight.
No, absolutely. We were sort of chatting about that when you sort of came into pit lane and the first run of stops, you were sort of nose to tail, and then once it all shook out, you were back to those positions. But it worked out a little bit more in your favour tonight. Obviously, you just had that little bit of extra pace towards the end.
Yeah, I think Raymond in his stint, you might have lost maybe 3-4 seconds to us in the second group in that sort of middle stint, which then, yeah, his tyres were worn at that point. So he had to come in early, which then, I suppose, meant he had 5-lap older tyres. So I'd say it, maybe might have worked in the early stages if we had maybe looked after him a bit more. But, yeah, sometimes it's better just to ride with the group and see what happens in the last few laps.
Well, it paid off great tonight, and well done indeed for yourself and for the team. This is a really good result. I mean, getting your championship slightly back on track, as well as getting the team's championship on track as well.
Yeah, I think it'll come down. It'll come close. I think Gary's out for 2 weeks, so I think it'll sort of concertina up until the last round or two, which would be good. And then, yeah, with the team championship, I think it's always sort of starts to become a 2-horse race. And I suppose, yeah, it just depends on, it really comes down to who out of the 3 guys from each team don't crash out.
Well, we will wish you the best of luck not crashing out in the near future. But tonight you've earned yourself a bit of celebration. Unfortunately, you couldn't quite get the victory burnouts in with the fuel running out. So we'll let you have the next best thing, and that's giving the sponsors a good shout outs and anyone else you'd like to say hello to tonight as well.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, just the boys at Pinnacle Esports, Raymond, Greg, Nige, and Matt, Whitcher Electrix, My Private Cellar, RKJ Web Services for sponsoring the team, and lastly, you guys who, yeah, I haven't watched the last few because I've been absolutely horrendous, so I don't really want to watch it back, but it's always a great watch, and thank you for your time.
No, you're always welcome, mate. Congratulations on tonight, Justin. Hopefully we will get you back in the booth in the near future, and it will be for another victory as well.
Cheers, boys.
Justin Whitcher there for Pinnacle, taking victory here tonight at Kentucky. Well, we are done tonight, Matt. And, well, we had a really good race there. Nice long green flag period at the end. Brought us some great racing and great strategy calls as well.
Yeah, very, very awesome race with different strategies and going on amongst the field and different times when drivers are pushing and mistakes. And yeah, that first opening stint after that first caution was pretty interesting. It was pretty racy there, a lot of contact and a lot of side-by-side action going on there before it sort of settled down to that strategy race.
Yeah, I must admit, I was a little bit surprised not to see the caution flag out with the aggression levels that we had in those early stages. But great driving from everybody in the field tonight to make sure that we only had the one caution flag period. Well, we are done for tonight, but we still have more action coming up in the weeks to follow, of course, here on Performance eStreaming. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. Make sure to hit the like button as well for tonight. That just helps us know that we're doing a good job with things too. Of course, we have got the action of the ANSCAR Cup coming up next week, where we are at
Atlanta.
Yes, it's Atlanta, yes.
Yeah.
So off to Atlanta, of course, the sort of mini super speedway. And then next Sunday night, we are off to a proper super speedway. We are heading to Daytona International for 80 laps. So make sure to join us for that. That's going to be one heck of a race. Of course, for tonight, we wish you all a good evening. And thank you very much for watching. But for myself, Carl Wilkinson with you, and of course, Mr. Matty Hunter, good night, and we will see you again soon.